really the key to this deliberate creation stuff is to know the difference between being in the receiving mode of this source energy and not. And then don't take anything too serious that is coming to you or occurring to you when you are not in the receiving mode. In other words, when someone is criticizing you and it hurts your feelings, don't pay any attention to it because it's not coming from a reliable source. When you're hearing it on television and it is upsetting to you, don't take it seriously because it is not information that is coming to you from your broader perspective about things that are important and that have to do with you. So if you can just make a decision now, at this stage of your evolution into this understanding, to spend more time in the receiving mode, which means be more rested, be nicer to yourself, take good care of yourself, keep yourself feeling good, and acknowledge that you are in the receiving mode. Anything that you do to acknowledge your comfort or your well-being is a pathway to the receiving mode. And then insights or conversations, even sometimes with others, happens. So that's what we call focusing yourself into the receiving mode. It is all about focus. Usually when people are making it happen, and we want to discuss this with you. So you can feel at times for sure that you're in the receiving mode. And then you don't quite maintain that because you question, is this really the receiving mode or am I making it up? Felt like the receiving mode, really felt like the receiving mode. I was focusing, I felt good, I felt interested, I felt even invigorated. I felt a sort of invincibility, I felt a sort of certainty in me. And so I know I was in the receiving mode, but then. Well, in the but then moments, you're slipping from it a little bit, but you can relax back into it. And so there is just a little bit, maybe, of trying too hard. But we wouldn't worry about it if we were standing in your physical shoes, because what really slipping out of it feels like is knowing that you're there and receiving thoughts about the unfolding of your magnificent life. Ooh, you're in the receiving mode. But then sometimes as human doers, because you are sort of action-oriented more than is good for you. And by that we only mean you act sometimes not from that pure alignment. All the action in the world is perfectly wonderful and in alignment with what we're teaching here, as long as you are moving into that action from the receiving mode. In other words, those impulses that are not only supported by but encouraged by your non-physical connection, those are allowing actions. Those are received actions. Let's take this thought further than we've ever taken it before, because we've been talking about getting into that receptive mode so that you can receive thoughts. But when you're really there, when you have that vibrational alignment, then those receptive thoughts turn to receptive impulses and receptive actions, you see. So don't worry if you find yourself acting, as long as it feels good. If it feels of interest to you, if it feels exciting to you, if it feels like something that you really want to do, then go with it. Because those are receptive mode thoughts, those are receptive mode impulses to act. And that's all really, really good. And the more you do it, we don't want you to take score too soon. But it is all right if you are aware that you are in the receptive mode and you receive an impulse. It's a really wonderful thing. In fact, it's a necessary thing to receive an impulse and to consciously acknowledge that you've received this from your alignment place. And then to feel an impulse and to acknowledge that that impulse is also coming from that alignment place. And then to take the impulse into the action that you feel like taking it to, and then to acknowledge the satisfying result of that action. Because when you are able to consciously make the correlation between being in the receptive mode and knowing that you received a thought and an impulse to act, and knowing that you acted and then awareness of what the action is, now you've got it all. And so do not assume that because you feel like acting that you're trying too hard or that you're making it happen. That's the whole point of the receptive mode, is to get in sync with this non-physical awareness and to move. Athletes do it all the time. They look so physical as they bat that ball or as they pitch that ball or as they throw that ball into the basket or as they run the length of that football field. In other words, they look as if they are in the action mode, but they are often acting out of inspiration. That's why they zig and zag. That's why their hand-eye coordination is so perfect. That's why they can do things that almost seem undoable. Is because they are tuned in, tapped in, turned on. And they are operating out of impulse from that broader perspective. Because sometimes people misunderstand. They think the receptive mode is just sitting around, really not too much point in that. You've trained your thinking mechanism to think, and it would be unusual for it not to. Also, there are vibrations everywhere, and vibrations are thoughts, or at least preliminary thoughts. There are thought streams everywhere. So if you are awake, you are always in the receptive mode. But here's what you want to prepave or accomplish in advance of that, and that is, as much as you can, through meditation, through basking, through appreciating, keep yourself as close to alignment as you can, so that when you are in the vicinity of thoughts, which is always, you are picking up on the ones that are beneficial to you. So if a stream of thought comes about things you don't like, or things you feel critical of, or things that need to be changed, or things that are really bothering you, it's a good time to take a nap, or to at least change whatever you're focused upon, because that means, for whatever reason, you've got focused into a different vibrational frequency, and now what you're receiving is that sort of static thought that is not beneficial to you. And don't work too hard at this. In other words, we like your awareness of your thought, and we really like your awareness of how the thoughts feel. But we don't want you to work too hard at it, because there's nothing urgent happening. There's nothing serious going on. You're just gradually tuning yourself more and more to the frequency of your source, who will always guide you. It is possible to live all day, every day, feeling perfectly wonderful, with an occasional experience that makes you identify with more clarity how it could be a little better. But there's not anything wrong with thinking the thoughts that you are thinking. If you're not focused, then let's say that you enter a room, let's say it's a party or a gathering, and you have not deliberately focused yourself into alignment, but you've done that enough that that's sort of your set point. It's usually where you are. People who know you as uplifting and as high-minded and as good-feeling mostly. And so it's logical that when you walk into any environment, you're going to find the best that that environment has to offer. So you don't have to work hard at this. So what's the fine line between, Abraham, I'm wanting to be aware as you are encouraging me, but I don't want to get carried away with it by monitoring every thought. And we say, so if you don't worry about your thoughts, and instead you're aware of your emotions or your feelings, you've got it covered. Ester would say, and sometimes will say to a friend, she said it sometimes to Jerry while they were driving in the bus around, she'd say, oh, I got that feeling, and I don't know what thought I was thinking that gave me that feeling. And so she'd try to think back a little bit about what was going through her mind as she was driving that put that sort of odd feeling in her stomach. And so you can get sensitive enough that you can know, but really it doesn't matter too much that you trace back to what thought caused the odd feeling. Just reach for a thought that feels good to you. And in your awareness, you won't get so far. This is the most specific answer that we want to give you. You're not going to go too far. It will not carry you away. You know too much. Your alignment is sufficient enough that is now the way you lean. We like it so much. Often when people first begin with us and we encourage them to meditate, and they do, and then they will say, is it normal for my life to have upheaval in it now that I'm meditating? We say yes at first, because once you taste the sweetness of alignment, then when you slip out of it, you notice it more. So things that bother you more because you have a heightened sensitivity to them. And that's a little bit of what you're talking about, a heightened sensitivity. Some people have such negative thought and such negative emotion, and they don't even know they're having it because they don't have anything to relate it to. They don't have anything to play it against. And sometimes a still mind or a happy moment, sometimes in dancing or sometimes with music or sometimes in interacting with an animal, or they will have a moment, a sort of flash of alignment, but they don't hold it and they don't even know how to hold it. They think that's the freak. That it's normal to just live life and be aware of it, and life's hard and then you die. And occasionally, in some fleeting moment, something floats through, but it's not lasting and it's not real. Well, it is real and it is lasting. That's the eternal you. This is a wonderful discussion we're having here because it's a fine line, isn't it, between striking the mental vibration and the feeling tone that then just allows you to be ready, to be ready, to be ready, to be ready. But what happens, especially on big topics like this, is that you can feel the emotional satisfaction of being in alignment. In other words, your desires and your beliefs are in the approximate vicinity of one another. And so you feel a sort of satisfaction. And in that situation, something happens. But then there's a tendency to now want to take that manifestation and ride it all the way home, rather than just let it be this stabilizing place that is ready for this and ready for this and ready for this and ready for this and ready for this. So there is a tendency to want to make this be the end of the manifestation. And we really want to ask all of you, don't you want to enjoy the progression and the evolution of the manifestational journey on its way? Don't you really want to enjoy that too? Whether it's about relationships or money or career or so many things, so many people have their mind sort of set on the manifestation, money in the bank, partner in the bed, and therefore find dissatisfaction if that manifestation hasn't come. So what happens is you're in the receptive mode, you feel an impulse, you move on the impulse, and you have a rendezvous that is really satisfying. Well, let it be the rendezvous that is really satisfying. Let it be a satisfying rendezvous. In fact, let us say something. We have not said this, not in this clear way before. Every moment in this time-space reality, all of us together here now, in every moment, this is a manifestation. It's a manifestation of what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what you're smelling, what you're tasting, what you're touching. This is a manifestation. And so in this manifestation, everything that you might want in every manifestation is not happening right now. You're not making love right now. You're not having lunch right now. There are a lot of things that you like in life that are not present in this moment in time, in this manifestation. But this manifestation has so much value for you to focus upon and realize and enjoy. And so what our encouragement is that you let each manifestation fill in with as much as you are able to allow it to fill in with, and let that be enough. Yes? Let it be enough. And you know why it's got to be enough? Is because it's all that can be. In every moment in time, your manifestation is all that you are letting in. So if you're insisting that it be different than it is, what you're actually insisting is that I let more in than I'm letting in. But now you're focused upon lack, which means you've shut the door. I want more. I notice I'm not getting more. And now that I've noticed that I'm not getting more, I can't get more. Crap. But if you're saying, I want more, and I've let this in, and this is always so good. This is so good. This is so good. I'm loving this so much. I love what I'm seeing here. I love the experience that I'm having here. So as you tune yourself to more decidedness or determination to be satisfied in this moment, if you can get hold of that satisfaction factor, which means in satisfaction, you're in sync with your source. And when you are in sync with your source, your manifestational door is open and letting more in. It just flows from satisfying moment to satisfying moment to satisfying moment to satisfying moment to moments that are so full of so much that you love and adore that you just know for sure that you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and that you're on your course and that your life is unfolding and that you're working your plan and. Yeah? Yeah. Really good thing.